Good morning. So today we're going to talk about finding the missing angle in a trig ratio. Okay, so if we know our trig ratio, and what that means is that we know what the sine ratio is, what the cosine ratio is, and or what the tangent ratio is, then we will be able to find the angle. Okay, so we will be able to find the angle of the missing angle of that trig ratio. Okay, and I can do that by using the inverse function. Okay, so remember that sine of x is equal to your opposite side over your hypotenuse side, right? Well, I can solve for x by taking the inverse function of the ratio. Okay, remember cosine is adjacent over your hypotenuse. So for this one, I can take the inverse, right, sine again. I can take the inverse of my cosine of the ratio. So what you're doing is just taking the inverse of the cosine function of the ratio that you already have. And then your tangent, remember, Oscar had a heap of apples. So it's the opposite over your adjacent. So you can find your angle by saying the inverse of your O over your A. Okay, and the inverse function is second, like so, how you put this in the calculator would be second sine. Okay, so second and sine would get the inverse function because see above there you have that inverse. Okay, all right, let's look at an example here. All right, so here I know two sides, okay? And so what I know is I know that this side is 8 and my hypotenuse is 11. My angle that I am looking at right here, okay, the angle that I'm looking at is, I know a side that's adjacent, okay, and I know my hypotenuse. So that ratio right there, adjacent over hypotenuse, would be cosine. So I can say cosine of x is going to be equal to 8 over 11. I can put this in the calculator by saying cosine inverse cosine of 8 over 11. Okay, make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. Mine was in radian, so it just gave me a decimal. Okay, so make sure that your calculator is in degree. Okay, so that's going to be 43.34 degrees. Okay, all right, let's look here. So number 2 here, I've got my angle B that I'm looking at. I know the side that's opposite of that angle, and I know my hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse is sine. So I can say sine of x is equal to the opposite side, which is 15, over your hypotenuse side, which is 24. So we'll take the inverse of the ratio 15 over 24. So we'll say second sine of 15 divided by 24. So your angle here is going to be 38.68. Okay. All right, let's do one more here. So here I have my angle A. I don't know what it is. It's unknown, but I know the ratio. I know a side that's opposite, and I know the side that's adjacent. So opposite over adjacent is tangent. So I can say tangent of your x is going to be equal to your opposite over your adjacent side. So to find the angle, you'll say the inverse of tangent of 5 divided by 7. All right, so that is finding the missing angle. So I want you to kind of review what we did yesterday on looking at the trig ratios. Okay, so if you have any questions, please let me know.